Alright, you might be wondering, what do I have against Freddy Farkas? My last channel update said, you know what, I'll be playing Freddy Farkas next. Even did the whole Freddy Farkas theme song to really, pump that energy in there. And I've not played it yet. In the meantime of the next promised game being Freddy Farkas, I ended up playing Take You On Dreams Anthology, which was a very fun game. Brand new game, you should check it out, it's on Steam. You should also check out my playthrough and my commentary if you haven't already. I share some thoughts of what I really liked about the game, and some of the things I thought they could have changed to make the game a little bit better. But then, I uploaded Mystery House. Now, why the heck would I upload Mystery House? Well, that's only because just fairly recently, I found out that ScummVM, which is a free program you can use to play older games, it actually can play the .dsk files that are included on the Roberta Williams Anthology for some of those older games that required basically the Apple Emulator to work. Now, on my Windows 11 machine, that old Apple Emulator doesn't work anymore. So I thought, I'm never going to be able to play, like Mystery House, Wizard and the Princess, and these other older games that I eventually did want to play. I certainly had no plan of playing Mystery House now. There's going to be one of the later end games that I thought I would play just because I know of the limitations with Mystery House. But when I found out that ScummVM, first when I found out that the Apple Emulator doesn't work anymore, I was like, that's a bummer. I'm not going to be able to play these games. And so then I learned that ScummVM can actually play these games, and so I thought, you know what? I'm going to just load it, test it, just see how it works. And ended up playing a little bit of the game. I think I played like 15 minutes of the game. And I was like, okay, cool, it works. But then I came back to it again. I was like, you know what? I want to see if I can try to figure this out. Because a long time ago, I made a text adventure game called Final Soul. And it was very much inspired actually by Laura Bow with the Colonel's Request. The whole thing is you and your friends are trapped in this house, or you are, and your friends are in there too, and you can talk to your friends, and there's very, very, very Sierra-related types of puzzles. So for example, in this huge mansion, there's a movie theater inside of it, and one of the things you can find is like popcorn on the floor. Well, you take that popcorn, and this mansion has a trophy room with a bunch of animal trophy heads. And you give the popcorn to the elephant head trophy, and it opens up a door. Like it uses a trunk to pull a lever, for example. So my game had very similar Sierra-style types things. It was inspired by Colonel's Request. So I thought, well, clearly like Roberta and Ken, who had all this knowledge already, especially Ken, who was an incredible programmer. They probably did a really, really great job of programming this. And let me tell you, it's this game is freaking hard. And it's not hard because you can't figure out how to solve the different puzzles. It's freaking hard because the directions are hard to move about sometimes. There are some times where I'll go in a room and I assume, like a door to the top of the screen, that's north, and the door to the left of the screen is going to be west, and the door to the east or to the right is going to be east, a door to the behind me is south. And it didn't always work that way, because sometimes I'd see a door to the north and it says, hey, you can't go that way. I should be able to. I see a door. And so there are times you have to type things like go door. And so it moves the character to the door. And then once you're to the door, though, getting out of that doorway is very, very difficult. At least it was for me. There are parts of this game that I literally get stuck in a door and I'm just hitting north, south, east, west, north, and I'm just trying to get out of that doorway. And there's a section in the game where you walk up the first flight of stairs, you start in that room. And so like here, like I typed north, right? I'll I'll show you in here in a second. I typed N to go north, and then I tried go door, and then you had to type go stairs, because just typing north to walk up to the door was not enough. So I wish they would have simplified that. I wish they would have just simply relied on directions, so that you just go north, south, east, west. There was no go door. I don't know why they did that. Now, I'm trying to see if it's right after this where I can show you what I was literally about to talk about. Where, so anyway, from this room, you can see a flight of stairs. You can also see a door, what I assume is to the east. You see a door to the right. So to go up the stairs, you have to do go stairs. And once you go up the stairs, you can see there's a long hallway. Down this long hallway, you can see another flight of stairs going upwards. You would think typing north from here, because it's straight ahead of you, that it would take you to the section of the flight of the stairs where the stairs would be to your left, and that you can turn or go west and go up the flight of stairs. That's not what it does. If you type north, as far as I can tell how this game did it, you pass that flight of stairs. So from this view, you have to specifically say go up. There's another thing that happens in this game that makes this game really, really difficult. And as far as I could know, or as far as I could figure out, if this happens to you, essentially you can't beat the game after this happens. So one of the things you have to do is within the kitchen where we're at now, there's a cabinet, and within the cabinet there's matches. So you get the matches, and then you have to make your way to the dining room, and in the dining room there is a candle. And then once you get that, you're good to go. But otherwise, as you're playing, if you don't have these two items, you'll notice like right there it says it is getting dark. It'll get to a point where it's so dark that it blacks out your whole screen. So for example, if you do not have the matches and the lighter to light the candle, and it gets to the point where it blacks out your whole screen, you can still move around. So you can still go into the kitchen, you can still go up the stairs, whatever, as long as you know where you're at. But like if you were to open the fridge when it goes completely dark, it doesn't show you what's in the fridge. So if you've never gone to the fridge yet to know, for example, there's water in the fridge, or I'm sorry, there's the pitcher that's in the fridge. It doesn't have water in it because you have to get the water from the sink. If it gets to the point where it gets completely dark, and I think that happens to me in this playthrough, because you'll see that I save and quit quite a few times because I can't figure out some of the stuff. Because like all my other playthroughs, I pride myself and I'm redoing these for the channel that I'm not using a walkthrough. So this was kind of fun for me. I've never played Mystery House before, so struggling through how to move about the house and what to do was a very interesting experience, because obviously Sierra has gone a long way since this game came out, and so when I got to parts like again where the screen would go, the only thing that you would see is your text. It would no longer show the graphics up here, and when it got to that part, I just assumed, well, there's nothing I can do because I can see that I'm moving around different rooms, but when I'm opening stuff, it's not showing me what it is. So that was very, very difficult to do. One of the other things that got me was, so for example, when you go in the dining room, you're in this room and there's a table and there's something on the table. Now, after finally figuring out what it was, I can see it for what it is. But when I first looked at what is clearly an old style candle, so it's like a candle that's on a tray that you hook with your finger, like a very old style candle that you carry in this manner. When I first saw that, I couldn't figure out what it was. At first I thought, okay, I'm in a dining room that kind of looks like a spoon or a fork and then something behind it. So I was trying to figure out what I was looking at, and so when I would say look table, it would just say something like oh, you know, there's nothing special about this. I wish, one of the things I truly wish is, like, when you go to the sink, it'll say, hey, there's a butter knife here. And so you're like, oh, okay. And I'll say this, I just wish they also added more simplification. So if you just type get knife, it says I don't see that here. So right now what's happening is, you can see we're in a dining room. Sorry, I'm going to cut to this, and the room went completely black. Sorry, I'm going to restart the game now because I couldn't figure out. But it happens again. But once it goes completely black, the graphics portion just disappears and you can't see anything. So you can open the fridge and stuff like that, and unless it gives you a description of what's in the fridge, that's it. You cannot see anything. So anyway, going back to the candle in the dining room, when you go to the sink, for example, it tells you, hey, there's a butter knife in the sink. All right, cool. You know that you can type get butter knife. I wish they would put it in there, the shortened terms. You just put get knife, but they didn't, because it says I don't see that here. But when you go into the dining room where that stupid candle is, the thing that is probably a little more complicated to see and figure out, if you do look table, it just tells you there's nothing special about this table. And you're like, well, I'm not looking at the table specifically. I'm just trying to figure out what's on this table. Like, tell me what I am seeing. And it doesn't. So that was a little bit of a tricky part to get. And then, so I wish, one of the things I wish they would have done is, if you're in a room and there's an item there, they would have done what they did with the kitchen. You see a butter knife here. And it says that every time until you pick it up. So for example, if I would have went to the sink and looked at the sink, it would say, hey, there's a butter knife here. And if I walked away without picking it up and then came back, it should still say, hey, there's a butter knife here, to let you know there's a butter knife here, like maybe pick it up. But the candle in the living room doesn't do that. Or at least if it did, it only did it once and I must have missed it because I could not figure out what that was. Now, again, the directions in terms of moving was also a little complicated. Just trying to get, this is one of those times where I'm just trying to figure out how to get out of this doorway. Randomly a dagger gets thrown at me. Oh! So the dagger I never figured out what to do with. I haven't looked at any walkthroughs yet, but I'm assuming it's an indication that someone's trying to murder you. Like, you've already seen some dead people. And that's the other thing. I'm all over the place right now. That's the other thing. So, when I played, I think I found 2 or 3 bodies, and there's literally like 6 other people in the house. When you see the bodies and you look at it, it kind of tells you how they died. But it really doesn't do much more than that, you know. It just says, oh, it's the meat vendor from the city. It looks like he's been strangled by, you know, string or rope. And if you try to get any of the items that are on the body, which probably you shouldn't do because that's messing with a murder scene, you can't. It just lets you know, hey, this guy's been strangled by rope. So I wish there was more you could do there to give clues as to who the murderer is. Because throughout the game, I mean, it was a very short game. There's probably way more to this game if I followed a walkthrough and kind of did all the right moves in the right order. Because again, there's like 6 people, and I only saw, I think, 3 dead bodies. And so there's probably way more that I missed. So there's probably something to do with the daggers, just I didn't go perhaps where it was required. I will say also that the game can be very, very cruel. So here's where it's dark. So you'll see it is dark, you can't see. You're in the kitchen, there is a refrigerator, and then when you do open refrigerator, it just says it's dark. You're in the kitchen, and I can't see the refrigerator, so I can't see, for example, the picture or anything else like that. So I assume at this point, it should just tell you that the game's over. Like, once it gets to the dark screen, it just should have the person say, hey, since you never got a source of light, the murderer finds you and kills you in the dark. Because wandering around in the dark, if you've never played the game to know what to pick up, it seems ridiculous. Like, why am I still trying to walk around in the dark if I can't actually see the items to pick up. So anyway, so that was the other thing. Also, I was about to talk about before I veered off seeing the screen is the game is cruel in the fact, and I think it's something that happens no matter what because you have to find this item. So going back to talking about the candle that I was just talking about, one of the things that happens is when you get the candle and you light it, if you're in the dining room, what happens is, and I don't know what would happen if you lit it outside of the dining room. I wonder if this would only happen if it's lit and you walk back in the dining room. So anyway, I already had the matches, so I finally figured out this thing on the table was a candle. I picked up the candle, and I think I said look table, or I tried to move. I think I did look table, and it says, oops, a large fire has broken out. Well, thankfully, I had my pitcher that I picked up from the fridge, and thankfully, I had filled the pitcher with water, and so it says this fire has broke out. So I was like, okay, well, I think the obvious thing here is to use the pitcher to put out the fire. So I think I said use pitcher or use water, and then it said like the fire's out of control, you've been consumed by flames and you died. Do you want to play again? And I was like, so that's not the right move. And so actually what the correct term is something like pour pitcher or something like that. So you have to talk about pouring the pitcher versus just using the pitcher, which again, I wish they would have done some synchronicity of tying those two, that they mean the same thing. That when the fire breaks out, if I just type use pitcher, it should be pretty obvious if it has water in it that I'm using it to put out the fire, but it doesn't. So the game in that manner was pretty punishing. You only get one chance, I think, to figure out what to do, or you are consumed in flame and fire, which tells me this house is super fragile, because if it went up in flames that quickly and I couldn't get out of the dining room, that whole house must be made of brittle wood. There is, I should say, there's also another portion of this game, and it's the only place where I finally broke down and actually had to look up a walkthrough in this game. Like normally, again, I normally don't do it, but there was a portion of the game that I was stuck on for literally like an hour. And when I went to the walkthrough, I could not believe. I am guessing that this was some kind of programming error and something that they just never got around to fixing. Because there's a portion where you eventually find a secret panel. You go through the secret panel and you see a telescope, and from the telescope you can see an extra room. Now the secret panel takes you out of the house, which you would think at this point, when you're trying to get out of this house anyway, because you've seen people get murdered, you would just leave. I think if you've not taken care of the murderer and you just walk out of the house normal, like after you find the key. So here's that candle. To me that looked like a spoon or a fork and then something behind it. But now that I know what it is, I can see that's the, to the right, it's a little finger part of where you put your finger, and the rest is a candle. But I did not see that at first, because I wasn't thinking that the time period of this game was where you would have that kind of candle that you're holding it. Like, it just didn't cross my mind until it finally dawned on me. Anyway, so you are in this forest. Oh, sorry, you find this escape hatch, and if you try to get out of the house before you take care of the murderer, I think she'll kill you if you try to leave. That's my guess, because it seems too easy that if you find the key, you can actually just bolt out, because you can find the key, I think, pretty quickly to the front door. But I think she'll be there. Spoiler alert, it's a she. I think she'll be there to kill you if you try to leave the house without actually dealing with her first. But again, you find the secret panel that takes you out of the house and like up into this like tree fort area. And from this tree fort area, there's a telescope, and you can see like there's a hidden thing on the roof. And then so from here you have to climb down, you know, from this area, not here, but from this area you have to climb down the tree and then climb down again, and it says you're in a forest. And I was like, okay, well, from my perception of when I was at the top of this like tree house with a telescope randomly that was pointing at the house, to me, how it looked is the house was north of where I was. So I ended up going north, and every time I did, it just kept saying you're in a forest. I said, okay. I went north like, I don't know, 6 or 7 times, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna go up to like 10, see if that's what it is. It seems kind of weird that I'm going north so many times, and nothing. So I was like, all right, so let me restore the game. Maybe, you know, the perception's off. Maybe that house is west from where that treehouse is. So I go west, I think maybe 10 times, and still don't hit the house. And I was like, okay, restore the game back to the tree. Let me go east. So I go east, I think like 10 times, and nothing. I'm just completely stuck in this forest. And I'm like, okay, all right, south. It has to be south at this point. Like, that's the only direction I have left. So I go south, and stuck in the forest. So then I try zigzagging. So it's like northeast, 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 nothing. Northwest, 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 nothing. I tried all these different directions, and I'm not joking when I say it was probably an hour, which I have trimmed out of this video. I leave a little bit of it of me struggling just to show you how insane that portion of this was. So when I looked up the walkthrough and I was like, I can't figure out how to get out of this forest, there was no clue, no nothing about how to get to the house once you climb down this tree fort thing. Zero clue about how to get there. It'd be great if like you looked from the telescope and it actually gave some kind of clue, like, oh, that looks about, 10 squares away or whatever. Just something to let you know how many movements away it is, so you can at least try to figure out that combination. Like if it would have said, oh, it's like 10 movements away, then you know you can only get there by making 10 moves. If you've gone 11 or 12, you've gone too far. Well, as it turns out, for that part of the forest, what you have to do is when you climb down, you go north 4 times. Now you're still in the forest. Still in the forest. There is no trees, no nothing, no house, no nothing. Then you type open door, and it says the door is open. But you're still in the forest. There is no door that's open, no nothing. You are still in the forest. And then you can't go north thinking, oh, well, I've been going north and I've opened up this mysterious door that no one can see. You'd think just going north would let you do it, but you can't. It says you can't do that. So from there, you actually have to type up, and that gets you back into the house. That, to me, was insane. I don't know what their idea was other than trying to sell hit books for that. So here's that thing where I was talking about where I accidentally caused a fire, where I was in the living room and I went to look at the table, started a fire, used the pitcher, poured the pitcher to put out the fire, and then there's a hole there and there's a key. And I think that's the key to the house. It's either the key to the house or the key. There's a treasure chest thing too that you that you need to find. You don't need to. You can technically leave without the treasure, but one of the first notes that you find is, hey, there's treasure in this house. There's jewels in this house. Finders keepers. And the whole finders keepers thing seems very odd. It's that note right there, as a matter of fact. Because finders keepers to me sounds like kids. Finders keepers, losers weepers kind of thing, if no one knows what that saying is. So that was weird, like the finders keepers thing. It should just be a note that says, hey, I heard there's jewels here and stuff like that. So that it sounds like it's actually adults in this house. I will say, there are, so like that picture that it's looking at right now, it says, it's not really my cup of tea, thanks for the look anyway, and it's the THANX. Now, I know that was something like back in the 80s, people used to spell thanks that way just for fun, like thanks. So I don't know if that was a typo or why they spelled it that way in the game. That just beats me. But like everything else, so like this guy who's strangled by a pair of pantyhose, everything else, almost everything is there with a purpose. For example, this is the bathroom. So there's a towel hanging in the background, which I was like, okay, we probably have to get the towel. Perfect, we get the towel. And then I could not... I was trying to figure out what that thing is in the upper right-hand corner. And I thought it was like a cabinet or something like that. But then after a moment, I'm typing that now, I figured out that's actually the shower. So that's the shower head that's up there. But at first I thought that was a cabinet, and there was like items on top of the cabinet. And I was like, let me, what's that? And I was like, wait a minute. Let's figure this out. That candle thing should tell me. My eyes are deceiving me. That is actually probably a shower, and I figured out it was a shower. So there's nothing to do in the shower. I do wonder if you go in the shower if you get killed, similar to Colonel's Bequest, which is a reference to Psycho movie. But that picture, the one that says "Thanks for looking," it says that it's fastened to a wall with 4 bolts. So no matter what you see, you should always try to get it if it's something random. So now we know it's fastened to the wall with 4 bolts. That probably tells us that we need to come back to that picture. We just have to find a way to unscrew it. And that was the other thing. So when I'm trying to, for example, get out of this room with the picture, if you do go a door from here, there's 2 doors. And when I get to a door, again, unless you have a map, I guess, of the house, it might make it easier. Or if you're drawing out a map, which I didn't do. But getting out of doorways was insane. Like, you can see I'm totally stuck in the bathroom with this guy, like trying to find a way out. And it's very, very difficult in terms of some of those mechanics. I honestly wish they would have just left it directional. So north, south, east, west, for example, instead of going to a door and then trying to figure that out. And I wish, speaking of that, I wish they would have left in each room, if they would have done that, it would have been great if they left a description. You're in the study. There's a door to the west and a door to the east and a door to the north. So that way you would know, oh, I can just go north or east because I see 2 doorways. And they could have, even at that point, if they wanted to. So if this wasn't like north and east, but maybe it was, like west and north, because, the room is actually in a turned angle. And if you're drawing a map, you'd be like, oh, I can draw that square and put that door here on the west side and the door here to the north, because now I know that this room is actually tilted. It's not like a straight top screen equals north. They could have done something like that. So if they would have described a way out in every room, that would have been great. I think that would have really, really helped instead of using the command to go door, because I honestly do not know what the purpose of the go door was other than to show you a door frame. To me, it would have been a lot smoother just to go straight into a room. I'm sure every door has a door frame, but unless you're in an earthquake, you probably don't really have to worry about being stuck in this door frame, for example. This is the hall I was talking about earlier, where if you go up that flight of stairs, you can see it's a long hall and you can see a flight of stairs in the middle. And if you were to do north, you simply bypass those stairs. I will say that one of the things they would have had to have done if they would have went with a simplified just north, south, east, west, is that first room where you start in, where you see everyone initially and there's that note on the floor, the stairs, and a door to the east, if you will, are both pointing in the same direction. So they would have had to relocate that room somewhere, so that east is only an option for one thing. It's either going to be the stairs or that doorway, which I think would have been much easier just to relocate that room somewhere else. So now that we have the butter knife, we can actually loosen the bolts. And when we get the picture, that's not the whole goal, but there's a button behind it, and then part of the wall opens. This threw me off too, because now there's a door to the north, and then there is also the passageway. So it'd been great, for example, if it just said a secret passage opens to the west. Because now I'm running around just trying to get back into that room. And what you have to do is type go wall. Then it closes behind you. I do like that they added spider webs everywhere. There's one like here in this corner, and when you're in the dining room, you can see it's on the table leg and stuff like that. So clearly, no one's been here in a long time. And so someone got all the way down here and didn't make it. And there's the key, and you can see like there's a hole, a door. There's a squiggly line that goes all across. There's algae. And the algae thing is so weird. Like one of the things you'll see here in a moment, just randomly, I did like clean algae just to see. And then when you clean algae, there's a loose brick. What? Why was the loose brick not visible while there's algae in it? Whatever. And then clearly there's a loose brick, and I'm thinking it's like a button, like it's a brick that you would normally press as a button that opens a secret door, but now you have to actually type get brick because the brick is actually a loose brick that is hiding something behind it. I thought it was going to open a secret door, so I was like trying to push it. And even though I said wipe algae, it says that there's algae. So now we're in this very random hole, and I'm assuming that the entrance is to our right that we just came through. So I think it's north that we go. So if we go up the pine tree, we can see a telescope. Again, now that I know, my first thought it was a gun, like you snipe. But then I figured out, oh, okay, if it's not a gun, it's probably a telescope. And you're looking through, and you see into the attic. Again, I'm not sure why there's a telescope. Somehow placed very precisely on the top of this very tall pine tree. And this is the forest. This part, again, so much of this was trimmed out for the forest portion because I tried so much. So I'll actually fast forward up to the part where it actually goes correctly. And it's annoying because when I hit north a few times, I tried to hit south. You would think I'd get back to the tall pine tree that I was at, but I couldn't. And so now I'm just running around crazy. Also, it's odd. You only have to go up once to get to the top of the pine tree, but you have to do down twice. So it's like you're at the top where the telescope is, and then you're in the middle of the pine tree, and then you have to get all the way down to the floor. And this is part of my frantic north that eventually gets cut off and or reload. But yeah, this is my frantic running around trying to see if there's any clue anywhere about how to get through this forest. And not being able to even get back to the original tall pine tree, even though all I've done is go straight up and then straight back. More of my frantic typing. I was just trying to see if there was a clue from the telescope about how to get there. I would have been really mad if it was as simple as go house. You just appear back at the house. But I was actually more mad that how to get out of this is ridiculous. And I think this is where I actually looked up how to figure this out. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Open. And it says the kitchen door is open, but there's clearly no kitchen door. You're not even at the house. So that was ridiculous, that if you ran 4 screens, it should have been at least a view of the house. And even then, all I did was look up, go north 4 times, and then say open door. I stopped and I was like, okay, perfect. I should see a house. Thinking, I'm just looking at a walkthrough that at this point, thinking I should see the house. I can figure it out from here. But as you can clearly see, I still struggled here. And now I can't go in any direction because it thinks I'm at the house. Now I'm in the forest again. I'm trying to see if, like, moving around, if I get a view of the house of where I'm supposed to be standing. So I think this is where I read the next part where you have to type up. So once you go in the forest, you do north 4 times, open door, and then I think it was up. So times. Open door. The kitchen door is now open. And up. And now we're in the kitchen, which is ridiculous. And I rapidly save the game because I do not want to do that again. So here's that hallway again. If you hit north, it just takes you to that door. You have to do from this screen, go up again, and then it'll actually let you go to the actual stairs. Which meant missing that staircase so many times. Because I just kept walking by it thinking, okay. Just thought I was going up the stairs when I hit north. So you can see the biggest struggle if you watch the normal playthrough is directions, moving directionally out of rooms and stuff like that. That was painful. I should play my final Soul game and put it on the channel, just because that might be kind of fun, a little exposure for my own game, and see if I struggle as much, because that game was made a long time ago. And I did suffer the same thing that happened in Lucy Larry 2, that at the very end, where you have to throw the thing down into the volcano, has to be specific text. I literally unintentionally ran into the same issue when I programmed my game, because I made it so big that the compiler I was using it would run out of memory if I tried to compress it into an executable. So what I had to do is go back through and abbreviate a bunch of stuff. So before, you used to be able to do N or type north, and before you could do uppercase or lowercase, but in the program I ran, in an effort to reduce the amount of options that I had to do, in the program I actually did what's known as a poke command. So it pokes your computer, basically sticks your computer so that everything is in uppercase, unless you hit the caps lock to turn that off. But it puts everything in uppercase so that I only had to worry about like N, capital N for north. I didn't have to worry about lowercase n or uppercase n. And so I did a bunch of that, and unfortunately one of the sections that I accidentally shortened without paying attention when I released it, uploaded it, blah 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 blah, was right near the end of the game. You have to type something very, very specific for it to happen. And I actually truly wish I still had the source code of the original, because I'd probably just download the compiler again and fix that and redo it. But I don't have the original source code for it anymore. That's probably gone on 30 computers ago. So that is a bummer that I do not have the source code for it to actually fix that. But yeah, there it is. So even in my own amateur computer game, text adventure game, I made a mistake. I wasn't perfect, despite what everyone thinks of me. Anyway, I was going back to about that. It'd be kind of fun to actually play my own game for my channel, since it was very much inspired by Sierra. Maybe when I get 1,000 subscribers, hey, there's some initiative to get to that 1,000 subscribers. If you've listened to all my other videos, you already know everything that's going on in my life in terms of why I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers now, because I never thought that was going to even be possible when I started this channel. I just did it mostly for fun, but life got super complicated. But yeah, if I reach 1,000 subscribers, I'll play my own game for this channel. I don't know that this is probably not a lot of initiative for everyone to be like, oh yeah, no, I'm going to subscribe now. This dude will play his own text adventure game on this Sierra channel. But yeah. Now I will say, in terms of this game, we are almost at the end, believe it or not. I totally, and by the way, in this library, I know that's a fireplace in the back because, it's bricks and stuff like that. But I totally thought, okay, there's probably a secret way through the library, like a secret passage. So the note of 7 minus 6 equals 1, then I'm done. Pretty sure that's a reference that there are 7 guests. All 6 guests are now dead, so there's only one more guest left, and that's me. And so once they get me, they're done. Now, they never explain why said person is murdering everyone in this house. Doesn't explain any of that motive or anything like that. So when you get to the end, you're like, oh, okay. That's the end, huh? I figured out who it was, and this is all I had to do? Alright. And this one, looks like they got bonked on the head because they have the bump on the head. It reminded me very much of those old school Tom and Jerry cartoons when someone gets hit in the head and then the welt appears on the top of the head. I was like, that dude should be okay. Like, it looks like you just got bumped in the head. Get up. I'm trying to figure out how to get to those stairs. So that's why, because I realize every time I'm going north from here, it's taking me to that far door. I should have known that just typing go stairs would have gotten me there. But it felt like go stairs would have just taken me back down the stairs I was just on. So if you go up, try to go up there, go up the ladder. You would think first, in order to open that door, because you have to reach it through a ladder, you would go up the ladder. But first, you have to open the door, the trapdoor thing. Which is weird, because how do you open that trapdoor without first getting on the ladder? So we found the chest. We can open the chest because we found the other key. We found 2 keys. And in the chest is a gun. At least that's very clear. I mean, that is very clearly a gun. Unlike the quote-unquote sniper rifle that was up in the trees. It's a telescope. So now that I think about it, I have the dagger that was thrown at me, and I have the gun. I wonder if there's... I wonder if that's what the dagger's for. I wonder if you do not find the key to unlock the chest, if you encounter the killer in the room, if you can use dagger to basically put an end to them. But it looks like they have a dagger too, or a knife in their hand. So it would have been a knife fight. So again, you don't have to climb the ladder to open the trapdoor. You can just do it down below, and there's the killer! I do like that there's a note here. You're like, excuse me, before you kill me, can I read this note? She is going to kill you. Shoot gun. And then the note here says it's in the basement, which is the clue for what you need for the jewels, I think. I forgot which key it is. I think that's where the chest is for the jewels. So now I'm stuck in the tower, so it'd been great if there was just a direction I could type, like north, south, east, west. You have to do go trapdoor. Again, it would have been so much easier if they just relied simply on directions of north, south, east, west for how to move about. I think it would have added a lot of simplicity. So now that we know we've taken care of the crazy killer, we can go unlock the front door, go out the front door, and beat the game. And you'd think just walking out the door is enough, because here we are, walked out the door. And you actually have to type down, "Congratulations, you've beaten an adventure and been declared a Guru Wizard. Would you like to play again?" That's a no. Once was enough for me. Thank you. Alright, please click like and subscribe, and let everyone else know to click like and subscribe. I am trying to reach that 1,000 subscribers, and I'm at like 900 and something, so would appreciate the love. Alright, bye.